Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So the last time I stopped off where, with the whole training and getting ready and running and jumping over fences and shooting cats with BB guns, all this type of stuff, right? So now I have to get to the point of like, what happened? Like, what stopped? It's a crazy event. So at this time, I am still like I said, I'm Muslim. I'm going to the masjid. I'm fasting. I'm praying. I'm trying to do things. I'm even sitting in the class for like tahfidh al-Quran. But at night, I have I'm out on the streets. Like literally, I would come home sometimes. I'd have a thobe. I used to wear the turban, and everything. Like I come home like that. Go inside, I change into like a Georgetown jersey, Dickies pants, and go out to the street, because I just got to make money. So at that time, my mother was, this was at the time when my mother wasn't in jail at this time, the early part. Because this was now, because I still had this girl that I was with. So this one girl, I was with her for like 3 years. And she's going to probably, I don't even want to mention her, but it's just something that I fell into, and I tried to, when I tried to press the issue of marriage when I was locked up, she refused, and I told her, "Khalas, we're done." But men, if you don't have religion, we're weak. We're people of desires. If we don't constrain our desires and we don't put our desires in check, with the proper knowledge of the religion, we're just gonna fall into all types of foolishness, and that's what I continue to fall into. So she had a best friend. Her best friend's name was Tanya. All of these girls, we all lived on the same street together. So like we're all like just one street, So all my friends, everybody, we just hung out on the same street. We didn't go to the other neighborhoods or nothing like that. Everybody just, we had everybody on the same street. And that was most of the people I dealt with is only on the street. People that came out from, even the people that came to my house from like the other side of the neighborhood. But we're all still, in the end, we're all still one neighborhood, right? I didn't deal with like people from over here, people from over there. I only dealt with people I knew. So she had a friend, her name was Tanya. And just to give some background story, like Tanya was like basically with us everywhere we went. Everywhere we went. But she was very, very annoying. But she was annoying in a way that is like, it's annoying, but it's kind of funny. Like, but it's still annoying. I don't know how to explain it. So like, and then when she used to smoke weed a lot, so she'd get very stupid. So she just wasn't the brightest, the brightest light bulb. She, her light was very dim, the whole time that I knew her. Like the one time that I got pulled over by the police, it was like all the girls from the neighborhood, they're all in my car. So the girl that I was with, she was sitting next to me, and there was two or three, I think 3 girls in the back of the car, and one girl, she's not from the neighborhood, but the other, and then Tanya was like taking weed out of her, out of her thing, and showing, look at, and the police is behind me. And this is how stupid she was, It's like she wasn't bright at all. So, but this was like the girl that I was with at the time. This was her closest friend. They grew up together, and like I said, they all grew up on that street. I didn't move to that street until my mother went to jail. When my mother went to jail and then she got out of jail, this was a part of the conditions of her getting the custody, is that my grandfather had to get her a house to have kids. Where's she going to live? So he did that. He went and bought a plot of land, and he just put like a mobile home on the land so she could have, and then later on the whole intentions was to like actually build a house. But the mobile home was just so she can just have, a house now, that she could get custody of her children. So and that's where we lived, So that was like when I was like about to turn 13. I was 12, going on 13. So from my 7th grade year, that's where we lived in that house. So we moved from the south side to this. This is still the south side, but it's further down in Jacksonville. So I was like used to stay in the south side towards like right at downtown. But now this is like much further. This is like midway. Because, on the south side, you have the river in front of us. We're facing like that way towards downtown. We got the river in the middle of the city, and the beach is behind us. So like we're like right in the middle. We're in the midway between the river and the beach. That's where we were located. So like literally we could get to the beach or the river in the same amount of time. I think the river might have been closer though. Actually, to come to think about it, yeah, the river was closer. Yeah, it wasn't like Midway. Yeah, the river was much closer. So yeah, the beach maybe like add a couple more minutes onto it. It's a little bit longer because you have to go across the intercoastal waterway. There's a little bit more of a travel, but because you have to actually go over like this waterway that comes out of that river, and then you go to the beach. You check Google Maps, inshallah. But so anyways, this girl, she had an allergy to cats. So one day she was at a party, and I don't know, they were this big party, and they had a lot of cats. And she's drinking, she's smoking weed, and she passes out. While she's passed out, for some reason, the cat, this is what Allah wrote. The cat was up around her head and just like sitting around her, because she's passed out. She's knocked out, and the cat is just like, for some reason, like rubbing against her head. So the cat hair or something, nobody knows really what happened, but the point is that homegirl didn't wake up. She didn't wake up like she died. She just like when the party was done the next day, because she had asthma, she had allergy with the cat hair. She's drinking and smoking weed. She's like blacked out, So nobody knows the whole extent of like, was it an asthma attack? Was it an allergy because of the cat, or was it a mixture of the both? But the point is that they woke up the next day. They tried to get everybody out the house, and she still passed out on the floor. So when they went to go wake her up, they're like, "Wait, that ain't, she's that's not how a human's supposed to move if a human's alive." And then that's when they discovered that she was dead. And then so that was it, So this basically, for me, at this point in my life, it's just okay. They said, "Oh, Tanya's dead." It's just like it's another one, because at this point, we already kept hearing this so many times, this person's dead, that person's dead, this person's dead. Like people I'd be sitting next to, like there's a girl that I was close to, Melinda, and she goes and kills herself. So it's just it's something at that point in my life. It just didn't really, It's like, oh, Tanya's dead. I was like, what? And that's it. It's just it shocked me for a second, but it's just whatever. I just get on with my life. But the point is that because of her death, the girl that I was with, she canceled the Mexican trip. So being that I was a chaperone, and I was supposed to go as a chaperone with them, that was the end of my journey. And and I'm thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As much as I wanted to, like I said, I had my mind set on this. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, and I knew in my mind that I didn't know. Obviously, because I'm still alive. So this was not going to be the death of me. But who knows? We don't know what would happen if Allah had, because this is what Allah wrote, and we don't know. It is because there's no speculation. Well, Allah wrote what He wrote. There's no what would have happened if this. No, because we don't. That's khalas. There's no point in even discussing that issue. But in my mind, like the way that I was thinking is that I'm going there. There's no way that I'm gonna make it back. Because either one, I'm gonna get killed, or number two, it's either going to be a success or a failure. If it's a failure, I'm probably going to end up in a Mexican jail somewhere, because that's what happened with the Zapatista anyways. They all got captured or killed, so that rebellion got squashed big time, So, if you go back and you read what was the outcome of the revolution in Chiapas, it did not go in their favor. It did not go in their favor. But from what I understand is that there's still like an element of those individuals that still, they're still like, they have that revolutionary thing. But come on, me being a white American going into Chiapas, I'm not, like I said, there's no reason why I would think that I'm gonna come out of this alive. Especially the Mexican government were to get it. Come on. That's just suicidal. It was a suicidal thought, and for what? So I didn't think about it in those days. For me, I didn't see the death of this girl as something that was saddening to me as much as the death of my plan. So that's what saddened me. I'm like, and I think maybe the girl that I was with, she felt that. She was like, well, you don't have any. I was like, yeah, because, she's dead. What can we do? There's nothing I can do to change her. I still have to go on with my life. I got my own goals and things that I'm trying to do. I understand. I feel sadness, but I keep it moving. I've cried enough tears over the people that died and left before. I don't need to keep doing this every single time a person dies. So like now, forget it. Now if I think probably over the last 10 years, 15 years. I mean, come on, like, you know how many people that we know that died in Yemen? It's just like, you know, out of all the people that died, I think one person I cried over. One, which is a brother named Yusuf from France. But he died in France. He didn't die in Yemen. I know him in Yemen. But he went back to France. They gave him some, you know, this was right at the COVID thing, right? They gave him an experimental shot. They said because he had a blood cancer. And they said, look, we had this experimental shot. It might help you with the blood cancer. He said, all right, I'll take it, whatever. He took it. And he died that night. So Allah yarhamu. Allah yarham Yusuf. It's a very, very nice brother. I mean, but I cried over him because he's just a nice brother. The best manners, the most softest spoken. Like, you know, people like him, they don't exist on this earth too much. So I will cry over a person like that. But, you know, people that exist like all over the place, you know, it's just like the world is not going to miss them. You know, it's because it's just like so common. You know, I don't, you know, so at that time I'd already stopped. I'm not crying over people no more. Like, it's got to be something serious. So, like Yusuf, I cried for days when I heard he died. And this was in, what, 2020, I think. You know, 2020 he died. Allah yarhamu. You know, and, but that's the only person. The brother that was closest to me got killed in Yemen. You know, his closest brother. I didn't cry for him. But I didn't cry for him because of the way that he died. And inshallah, we'll get to that later. You know, the way that he died, I was happy for him. I was happy for him. You know, there's no way I was gonna cry over him. You know, because even my wife saw in a dream that she said that they were taking a body before he got killed. They were taking a body, and the brother, he looked just like me. You know, the red beard and everything. And they said they were grabbing the body. Said, "Who is Shaheed? Who is Shaheed?" You know, and they were like yelling, "He's a Shaheed! He's a Shaheed!" And while they were taking the body to the grave. And then he got killed. So, I mean, I don't, like, for him, I didn't cry. Because, I'm like, he's the closest brother to me. I love that brother for the sake of Allah. But, I didn't cry when he got killed. Like, I wrote a poem about him. And I cry every time that I read the poem. But, like, when he died, when he got killed, I didn't cry. So, the same thing, like, at this time. It's just, like, I don't have, like, that type of emotion. I'm like, okay, I felt sad at this time at the death of my plan. My plan died with that girl. So when I saw that, I was like, now what am I going to do? Now what I'm going to do? Because you know, it's just, you know how it is, like, your life, it has like zero meaning, right? And here, there's not much that we can, that I could attach meaning to my life. I'm just dealing with drug addicts all day long. But now I put this goal, like I'm sitting here, I'm reading all these books, and then I set this goal. I said, okay, now I get something that's attainable. Something I can get on a Greyhound bus and I can, you know what I'm saying, I can go to. And I could have still done it with or without them, you know, but it would have been easier to do it, obviously, going as a chaperone, because it's like, I have a cover, right, you know, so then I can slip out and just, you know, go down to, I didn't know how I was going to do this, you know, I didn't have a map in my room, I didn't, you know what I'm saying, so it wasn't like it was like planned out, but I set this as a goal in my mind. So, because I had this as a goal, my life at that time, it took on some type of meaning, right? So now, you know, because like I said, I'm not seeking knowledge. I'm not doing it. And so this is the only thing that I could prop up in my life is like to motivate me to get up every single day, to work hard, to read, you know. So every time now that I'm reading books with a fervor that I didn't read with before. When I'm out doing push-ups and I'm doing dips and I'm doing all that, because like I said, every other day, 500 push-ups, every other day, without fail. 500 push-ups, 250 dips. Every day. And I didn't have a pull-up bar at the time. If I had a pull-up bar, I'd have been doing pull-ups too. But, you know, the thing is just, I did what I had in the means to do at that time. So every other day. But when I did it with fervor. Because I had this goal in my mind. So everything that I did, it had this meaning. So when that plan died, it's just like a part of me died. You know, and then, you know, that slipped. Because the thing is like I said, it's, you know, I was still so immature to like say, okay, this plan died. Okay, so it's okay, it's fine. Let's put something else up. Let's do something else. Let's look at something else that we can do. Or how about this? How about we still continue the plan? And still continue, you know, I can still do this plan, but let me find another way to do it. All right, this thing is out. Let me find another way. So I didn't do that, you know, because like I said, I'm still in that state of immaturity. I'm still growing, but this is a part of that growing, you know, to realize that not everything that you do is going to go to your plan, to go to plan. You know, you're going to plan, and maybe you think that something is good for you, but it's not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows it's not good for you. He doesn't write it for you to protect you. And that was a protection for me because, you know, okay, at that time, this is what? This girl died in 97. I would say 98. Because I got out of jail in January of 98. January 31st, 1998. All right, so she died in 98. You know, in 98. All right, so what am I, like 2 years later? 3 years later, and I'm in Yemen. I'm in Yemen 3 years later, you know, studying my religion. So I'm definitely not displeased with the results. But at that time, I was distraught. I was heartbroken to like the world meant nothing to me anymore. And then I just, at that time, like I said, I stopped drinking. I stopped doing drugs, stopped smoking. You know, I got to the point I wasn't smoking. You know, I wasn't doing anything. Even the girl that I was with, I wouldn't even buy her cigarettes. I said, no, I'm not going to support this and buy these cigarettes, taxing the government. The government's going to take money from us. I'm not doing this anymore. Everybody who just looked at me like, you're extreme, you're crazy, you're losing your mind. And, you know, so I just, like, all of this that I tried to do just to get to this point, and then it just crumbled down. And it crumbled down. And then, so it's a test from Allah. You know, we're going to continue to be tested. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. So you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly going to test the people. Now, He's going to test the people who say that they believe. And I'm thinking that I'm a proper Muslim. I'm thinking that this is, what I'm doing is Islam. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And we've, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala severely, we have tested all the people that came before them. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the people who are truthful, that their actions and their words, they go together. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the people that are the liars, where they say one thing but their actions are different. So I mean, I was being tested, and then I crumbled. So what's the benefit of all that training and all this type of stuff, and you can't even pass one little test? One little test and you crumble over. So this is a learning. You know, it's all a part of the learning process. All the tests and the trials and the tribulations that we go through, you have to take them and you have to learn from them. You know, you don't allow those things to stop your life. You know, you might pause for a second to regroup and rethink where you're going and what you need to do. Pray istikhara and keep it going. Once you have a new thing that you're trying to do, pray istikhara and keep it going. But you got to keep it moving. You keep that forward progress. If you get knocked back a couple of steps, you just keep it moving. You know, but like I said, my mind was immature. So I collapsed. And that's what you're going to see in the next couple of videos, because it's going to get dark. So, Allahumma stani la subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.